All right, Phil, thank you so much for being here today.
You bet, Jess. Lovely to be with you.
Yeah, I have to tell the listeners because I am so delighted by the fact that we are time traveling right now. Where I am in the world, it is 3:50 p.m. on a Wednesday. You know where Phil is in the world? It's tomorrow. So I feel like we are like, I don't know, we're crossing like quantum physics here. Something magical is happening. It's Thursday, it's Wednesday. This is already magic. So it's got to be a great conversation, Phil.
It's going to be good. It's going to be
It's
good.
gonna
The
be
good
good.
news: the sun rises. Everything's fine.
It's all
Everything's
good.
fine. Yeah.
Everything's fine. So let's start by getting to know you a little bit. Tell us who you are, what you do, and how you got into it, or why you do the kind of work that you do.
Sure. Well, the backstory is that I finished school feels like a really long time ago, in the 90s, in fact,
Uh-huh.
and I enlisted in our Australian Army for 6 years. I served there, and then when I left that, I ended up not really sure what to do next. It's a common
Uh,
story amongst veterans.
Yep.
I ended up working for a bank, and the really short story is that I ended up building initiatives inside that very large institution, which did some interesting things. And I was encouraged to go and do that outside as an entrepreneur. And my real love in all of that was being able to convince people to do things they ordinarily wouldn't do because I could see a different way of doing it. And so, 8 companies later,
Uh-huh.
I am now in a position where I have a chance to look back. And today I'm an executive coach. I work with leaders in large listed companies around the world, and I help people understand how they can grow their business by looking at how partnerships play a role, not because it all sounds romantic and not because we should be doing more of it, but because it is actually the number one way that companies grow. And around the world, 98% of the commerce that we enjoy happens because the products that we touch are being moved by partners to get it to our front door so that we can live the lives that we do. So I spend a lot of my time talking with people like you and leaders around the world to help them understand how do we do this thing and align all the ducks to be in one row so that people can actually grow their businesses where everyone involved does well, and we help them understand what partnership actually means in a world which is going through a lot of change right now.
Yeah. Well, let's start there, like helping people understand what partnership really is, right? Especially because, in entrepreneurialism and capitalism, there's a lot of competition, and that can sound so partnering can sound sort of counterintuitive or contraindicated even. So tell us, yeah, like what do you help us understand about partnerships?
Yeah, so let's imagine that you are a business owner and you're selling a product or a service,
Okay.
and you think what the best way to go is because you have a very unique offering is to try and sell it one on one, right? So you're using social media ads, you're putting advertisements into magazines, you're just doing everything you can to convince people out in the world that what you can do for them is the best that can happen.
Yeah.
That's fine,
Uh-huh.
but you could be screaming into the void
Uh-huh.
for a really long time because every channel that we communicate through is very noisy,
Yeah.
right? We're very distracted. We've got a lot going on in life. It's very difficult to get someone's attention.
Mhm.
What would happen if instead you decided to go to the places where people who are serving your ideal customer actually already live, and they already have their trust, and they already have the ability to communicate with them in a way which will really make them act? Well, that's what we would refer to as a distribution partnership, because you could go to that center and say, hey, listen, how would I make it worth your while
Yeah.
to put my product or service in front of these people so they actually act? But more importantly, that they create a transformation they really want to have so their
Uh-huh.
life is a better life. And most people don't know how to have that conversation where
Yeah,
those
I know. I'm
customers
like,
are held.
great, Phil. Let's just practice that. Hypothetically speaking, how might one
Hypothetically, what
do
would we
that?
do? What would we do, right?
Somebody
And
were a
so
life coach. I mean, I don't know, just
yeah,
hypothetically
we
speaking,
can
Phil.
we can absolutely break that down. And I
Uh-huh.
think the thing is that, during COVID, the world was massively disrupted by the fact that we forgot that the way that things get to our countries is on very large ships that come from very long places away. And all the supply chains that got disrupted, it just made it really difficult for stuff to get done.
Yeah, yeah.
What we forgot there was that those kind of partnerships, which are different to the ones that you sell,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
those kind of partnerships fell apart because we just expected that the ships would keep coming
Yeah.
and that things would keep on working. And so I also work with large companies around how to not just think about suppliers as vendors or suppliers who are just, you give me the thing for the lowest possible price and we'll just get on with life.
Right.
Instead of thinking that way, we make it so that those supply partnerships become win-win. So the
Mm.
suppliers can have a good time doing it. They're not just trying to make it all work. And the people receiving the goods actually have a fantastic relationship so they can do more together. And that's where the true power of partnerships actually lives.
Yeah. So is there like, I mean, when you're supporting people and navigating these win-wins, like just use it for example with that supply chain that you were just talking about. Like what does that win-win, like give us a for example.
Yeah, sure. So win-win in a supplier context is something like, and let's use a medical device company, right?
Hmm.
So if let's imagine that you or someone has type 1 diabetes and they
Hmm.
require a continuous glucose monitor, and those little devices are magical,
Hmm.
but they have all these little moving parts. And
Hmm.
in those little moving parts, there might be a supplier in the middle of nowhere in a town or a city you've never heard of before who
Hmm.
manufacture a tiny little part that is essential for those things to work.
Hmm.
Now, usually these companies are really small, they're usually family owned, and they're
Hmm.
doing that one little thing really, really well. If
Hmm.
they stop working, everything stops working,
Yeah.
usually in that product.
Uh,
And sometimes there's others doing it, but often it's only just one group or one company. So instead of saying for the company making these continuous glucose monitors, let's just try and get that little widget for the smallest possible price because then we can make more profit on our side. We can say, actually, we're going to make it so that we pay you more to this little organization. And it
mm,
might be instead of 10 cents for the widget, we're going to pay you 12, right? For
hmm.
us, it actually doesn't mean a great deal, but for
Hmm.
them, it makes it completely sustainable. And in doing that, that small change, which often gets overlooked,
Yeah.
makes the whole supply chain a little bit stronger. And when you do that across every single widget that goes into every single product,
Yeah.
not only does your resilience increase,
Yeah.
but the way that you can deliver the product also goes up. And that means that the companies that are working can become stronger. The companies selling this continuous glucose monitors can add a little bit extra margin to cover that cost.
Hmm.
And now everyone involved in that transaction is doing a lot better. And that just makes it simple,
Yeah,
right? So
that
there's
that
no
sounds
rocket
brilliant.
surgery
Do people
here.
know about this, Phil? Like, what is everyone doing? I'm like, this is how the whole system should be working.
It
Like,
is supposed to be that simple,
chef's
but the thing
kiss.
is that we forget that there are all these things inside the
Mhm.
workings of business that we're just programmed and often we're incentivized to make it so that people will make the most possible money from every single deal. And
Right,
that's fine in the short term, but man, does it bring things to a grinding halt in the
right,
medium term. And we
right.
see that happen every day.
Yeah. So is there someone like in your world, like, are you looking for those opportunities that like, because I'm like, who from an efficiency? Because listen, we're an Enneagram one. We love efficiencies. We love efficacies. And I'm like, there should be somebody monitoring this. There's so much room for, there's so much possibility for efficiency increases like you just mapped out. So is somebody looking at that or is that like what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't look at that. People call
Yeah.
me and say, listen, we've got a problem with a bunch of our suppliers or a product, or we're trying to sell
Hmm.
more and we're not quite sure how to do that.
Hmm.
We've got deals that we thought were great partnerships. We even wrote a press release. It sounded great.
Hmm.
And it's gone nowhere because beyond the press release, we actually didn't know what else to do.
Uh-huh.
So I have a lot of people coming to me asking me, how do we make these partnerships better?
Uh-huh.
Because there are partnerships everywhere. When you start looking for them, it's like that old film where that kid is saying, "I see dead people." As soon as you look at this, you just see partnerships everywhere. And the
Yeah.
thing is that they're very often usually very easy to fix. So I can take you through a framework that will help you see that in your own business right now. Do you want to do that?
Do it, Phil. Let's go.
All right.
Hmm.
Okay. Here we go. I want you to think about this one sentence the next time somebody says, we should do business together.
Hmm.
All right. So this is what you should think from this point forward.
Okay.
Is this partnership ideal for my business? I just want you to ask yourself that one question. IDEAL,
Okay.
ideal. All right. So I'm going to send you this so you can put this in the show notes so people can do this as well. But this is
Perfect.
basically what ideal stands for. I stands for intent, right? So do we have shared intent? So imagine
Okay.
somebody you're thinking about doing business with right now.
Uh-huh.
Do you actually have a common language about how you're going to succeed together? And if you don't, then you got to get it, because if you don't have it, you just have a contract, The contract won't spell that out. It's about how do we vibe? How do we make decisions together? How do we deal with things when things go wrong? Do we have enough of an understanding for that? And if we do, great. Let's move on to the next thing, which
Okay.
is D, stands for dual benefit, which means
Okay.
are there two benefits for me and are there two benefits for them? So in your case, am I going to be able to make some money? Am I going to be able to increase my reach and my impact? They could be the two benefits on your side. For the person on the other side, are there two things that are really important for them? And it doesn't have to always be money. So
Mhm.
if you've got two of those benefits, that's the dual benefit.
Okay.
Now, the next step is E. It stands for era. In other words, time. How long will this partnership go for? If someone says to
Mm.
you, let's do a partnership over, 2 or 3 months, you go, that's not a partnership. That's a transaction. So if we're going to do a
Mm.
partnership, let's do this over 2 to 3 years and set it up for real success because we want to be doing this. If I can do referrals between your business and my business and we can make that humming, my cost of marketing goes to the floor and we can both make money and do very, very well. So the era is really important.
Okay.
We go to A, it stands for allies. Do you have people outside of you and me doing the deal that our teams can work with so that it's not just you and I? Because if you or I leave our businesses, then the whole partnership could fall apart because we have a great relationship, but no one else does.
Mm.
So in large organizations, find the other people in the organization to strengthen that bond.
Mhm.
And the second last one is L, land the first deal. And that's in the first 6 months, we want to create such a great outcome that you say to me, you know what, Phil, I'm really glad we did this deal because I was a bit worried about whether we'd be able to pull it off, but we've
Mhm.
pulled it off and man, our team is firing right now. We've got trust. Let's do the next deal, right? And that's what ends up snowballing. At the end of Ideal, we have this little plus, and it's an important one because
Okay.
it stands for the next best alternative. If you and I are trying to work out the best way to do a deal and we go and something just isn't quite right, the timing might not be right, or the terms might not be right, you always have a choice. And the choice is for the next best alternative, I might just have to walk away from this deal.
Mm.
It's not a good deal for my business. So when you walk through ideal and you think to yourself, is this ideal? You can run through that set of questions in about 30 seconds in your mind and
Mhm.
it will quickly tell you, are you about to make a giant mistake or is this actually going to yield you some great value across the board? And is it worth my time? Because life is too short for mediocre partnerships. That's all I
Mhm.
can say.
There's a slogan. Life is too short for mediocre partnerships. Okay.
That's it.
Listen, I love a good acronym. So ideal. I'm geeking out on this. I like that. Um, so is there what do you see as like because I'm always looking for the blocks, right? The barriers, the obstacles, the bumps. Like
Mhm.
what gets in the way? And maybe at different parts of this, right? Like so I'm here, like the first step is finding out we're like dating. Like, are we a good
Yep.
partner?
Mhm.
So maybe, yeah, map out like what do you see as some of the clunky points and the obstacles, and maybe what are the like mindset shifts or reframes that really support these in flourishing?
Great question. So, when you have a spider sense, like you have an instinct about somebody, I reckon we can get on pretty well.
Mhm.
There's something about their background, the way they talk.
Mhm.
It's very unexplainable, but you feel
Mhm.
good about it. There's something about,
Mhm.
we could get on well here.
Mhm.
Listen to that instinct. And as soon as they start talking about what they want to achieve as part of that partnership, you want to be listening for things like, I'd love to see you be successful and
Mhm.
us to be successful. One of the major blocks is they just talk about themselves all
Yeah.
the time. And
Mhm.
there's no other value that they're thinking about when it comes to you because every great partnership is a two-way street.
Yep.
The second thing is that they might have a track record of partnerships going really well or really, really badly.
Mhm.
When you hear somebody talk really like a slick salesperson,
Mhm.
often the best salespeople, when they're selling you, you don't even know they're being sold. You're being sold, right?
Mhm.
But they have got it all down, and all they want to do is get the deal. Be
Right.
aware of that. And
Okay.
again, if they're not talking about what's coming back your way, just be very mindful about whether that's going to work or not. If
Mhm.
somebody says to you, and this is my favorite, if somebody says, listen, let's start with a 12-month deal and we're going to roll it every 12 months. And you go, it's going to take us a few months to get started. By the time we get to the end of this first year, we're going to be renegotiating again. Do we really want to spend the time doing all that renegotiating? Let's look at this over a 3-year period. So look for
Mhm.
that block on time.
Mhm.
And if somebody's trying to hurry you into a deal without all of the information around the deal, for example, how are you going to make money, Jess?
Mhm.
right? How are you going to see true value? How am I going to see true value? If those little things haven't been worked out and they're trying to rush you into a deal, it's not the right deal for you.
Hmm. Okay, well, so also something you're kind of hitting, I mean, you're not talking about it, but I'm hearing trust in this. So how do you, is that like part, like how do you help cultivate that, curate that? What are the, um, how do you help shift it? Like, I guess, in a world where, again, if we're talking about business, it can be, like you said, it's not everyone, sales gets a bad rap for a reason, right? Like people are like,
Yeah.
oh, it's slimy. At least in my world, as coaches, we're like, we just want to help people. We don't want to do I hear that feedback a lot. And I think a piece of that is because it's like, it feels like a lack of trust when it's
Yep.
sort of one-sided. I'm just trying to get something from you. So how does that fit in with the kind of work you do with folks?
So trust equals consistency over time, right? And
Uh-huh.
so when somebody
Ooh, we
tries
love
to
a
get you,
formula. Okay, we've got math equations. Trust equals consistency over time. Love it.
that's it. So just think about how you built trust in your own life with the people that you considered most trustworthy, right?
Hmm.
There was a set of events. Usually there have been hundreds of these events
Hmm.
where every single time you've shown up or they've shown up, there has been a commonality which has worked really well. The problem we have in business development and sales is that we try to jam everything into one event or two events. And it's like, I've got to get to know them. They've got to like me. I've got to pitch them. There's got to be all these things. And then somehow, by the alignment of planets everywhere, they're going to sign a contract on the second meeting. And people are going, that's not real,
Uh-huh.
right? I would never do that when there's a lot of value. What we need to do is to find a way to spend 4 or 5 conversations, maybe 6 or 7, showing up in a way in which there is no expectation, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure in your work, what you would have is, as a coach, you can call me in engagements. We might have structured time to catch up in our coaching gigs, but you can call me anytime. In fact, before we actually sign a formal relationship, you can text me or call me anytime. You got something on your mind? Let's talk.
Hmm.
And I might do the same to you so
Hmm.
that we can establish a language that goes on there. Now, this might happen 3 or 4 times. It's not a lot of time,
Hmm.
but somebody can be having a great day and they are firing on all cylinders, and the sale looks good, the partnership option looks good. It just sounds really exciting. But wouldn't you want to see if that happens the second and the third time, just to make
Hmm.
sure that what you're hearing is the right stuff?
Hmm.
So whenever you're thinking about trust, it is the consistency over time, and the best relationships persevere because you become reliant on how those people are going to show up for you, right? And
Hmm.
so whenever you're thinking about the trust element, you might have to reframe the mindset to say, I need to close it. You might be in business development or sales or trying to grow an entrepreneurial company, and you're going, I'm running out of time, right? I've got to get these deals done. I've got to pay my team. I've got to do all these things. That's a real stress in running a company, running a
Yeah.
business.
Hmm.
But the reframe has got to be, but I've also got to find a way to spend 5 or 6 moments with each of the people I want to build a true high growth partnership with so that we
Hmm.
can get to know each other. Because if I don't do that and I sign a really bad deal, I'm going to spend twice that amount of time trying to get out of it because it's tanked a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. It's like the cost, because as
Does
you
that
were
make
talking about
sense?
that, I was like, oh, I can imagine one of the blocks is around time, right? Like thinking about like investing and they're like, I got payroll, I've got bills to pay, right? I got things. And
That's
yeah,
it.
so there's also that question of, well, what's the cost of not doing it? Right.
One thing that's interesting you just mentioned is this idea that if there is a real stressor in your life, right? Let's say it is paying payroll for your
Mhm.
team or whatever the things are, which are real issues.
Mhm.
If somebody authentically mentions that to you, right? You're on a call, you're trying to get things done, and you feel urgent and it feels
Mhm.
weird because that's not really you. It is okay to let the other party know that there are real stressors in your business. Let me give you an
Mhm.
example of a fantastic partnership we built
Mhm.
from being humble, honest about a circumstance.
Mhm.
In my last company, which was in biotech, we were focused on blood testing and specifically around women's health. And
Mhm.
it was to do with how can we help a person going through IVF
Mhm.
to have a child understand where the embryo quality is so that they can work out if IVF is the right time, right? Very
Mhm.
complicated, a lot of moving parts. there's a lot of activity at this stage of life for both the doctors and both for the people trying to have the children.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some technology in a blood test that could change that. It wasn't going to solve it all, but it was going to move the needle a little bit further. And as a small company, we were really running lean. We had 8 people. There was a lot of money being spent. We hadn't got the product to where it needed to be yet. And so we partnered with this incredible firm in Australia that was going to take our technology and apply it in clinic. And during the first 3 conversations, I said, listen, here's the reality for us. We're a small business. We need to demonstrate to our investors and to the market that this is going to work well, even though we don't know how it's going to end up. What can we do together to demonstrate this is going to be real? And the CEO of the other business turned to me and said, well, science and healthcare is difficult. Let's just say to the market that we're working together and that we're pursuing this ambition. And so we wrote this set of documents together and we shared it with the market. And that honesty and that humility that we showed on our side meant that they signed the deal, they signed the contract. They were very happy to share that publicly. And that had huge positive ramifications for our business because we were just being honest with them. Yeah. Instead of promising everything and delivering nothing, we just said, listen, here's where we're at. Here's where we're going. We'd love to do it with you. And it changed the game.
Yeah. Well, that builds into right? If honesty and transparency, those things kind of also go along with trust. So maybe kind of along those same lines, if there were ingredient or building blocks of what does it mean to be a better partner? And maybe that is a blend of the mindsets, the belief, the practices, the way you show up, what defines a good or better partner in your experience?
So a great partner has 3 major qualities, right? Okay. The first one is that they are very clear on what they want, right? So you know what they want, so you can do the work to try and help them achieve that. If they don't have a clear ask, it's very, very problematic, right? Because we can all talk in code and in language, we can wave our hands, but very clear ask is really important. Number 2 is they show up the way they said they would show up. Right. So we're going to meet at this time. We're going to achieve these milestones together. I'm going to organize my team. You're going to organize yours. We're going to show up the way we said we were going to. And number 3, we're going to be completely and transparently honest about it when things are going well and when things are not going well. They are the 3 things. And so the only way you can know that is by understanding if they're a great partner in the first place and then going through whatever work you've got to do in the partnership to make it work. But they'll have a clear ask. They'll be very honest with you and they'll show up as they said they would. And that's really simple human stuff, right? It happens in our lives. It happens in business. When those 3 things align, great business and great life happens. When they don't, things go off the rails.
Yeah. It's simple. All I can hear is it's simple. Simple isn't always easy, friends. We're like, oh yeah, that's so simple. Humans, just simple, all that, easy and simple. So so that's the ingredients of partnerships going well. What are the signs that maybe a team or a company or a business is they're focusing on the wrong growth lever, right? Because you're talking about partnerships as one of those ways to really grow and expand. How do you know when you're oh, I can tell that they are not focused on the best growth lever?
Sometimes they've got to find that out themselves, right? Where it's just we would love to help you grow. We're just not sure you're focused on the right stuff. But let's go back to those 3 things again. If we have a clear ask and they're asking us something, it's I'm not sure we can deliver that for you. We'd love to help you, but I just don't think we can do that. Right? That's the first sign. Second sign is when they go quiet because they thought they knew what they were doing, but they really have rethought it. Actually, this isn't the right thing for us. So they end up going quiet. So whenever a partner goes quiet, just make an extra call to work out if everything's okay. Right? Humans tend to go quiet when things aren't going well. So it's good to sort of reach out there a little bit further. And the third one is, if you are not sure about whether you can deliver the value that they need, then be honest with them. Say, listen, this partnership started going down this track. The track was good. We were very, very clear. For whatever reason, the world's changed, right? There has been some sort of shift and we might not be the right partner for you anymore. And if I got to tell you, Jess, if there is one thing that can save relationships, it's calling partnerships early. and saying,
Right.
listen, things have changed. This is not about you. It's not about us. The circumstances shifted and this might not be the right fit anymore.
You
So
should be a
if you agree with
relationship
that,
coach, Phil. Like this is like what you're
I
talking
get that
about
a
here.
lot.
Like this all sounds, if anyone's listening
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't own a business. I'm like, if you are in a relationship, all of this applies. But
Yeah.
that right there can be like you're just saying it like you're just reading the Sunday paper. But for somebody to say, oh, this just isn't working, like let's call
Mm.
it, like that takes a
Yeah.
whole set of skills. So how do you support
Yeah.
your, if you're in the business of fostering these partnerships and you're like, part of that, part of good partnership development means breaking up
Yeah.
sometimes. Uh-huh.
That's
How
it.
do,
That's it. And sitting in the middle of that can be uncomfortable, right? But there is
yeah,
also massive relief when you
yeah.
name the block
Uh-huh.
and you sort of find language around it. So in some of the most contentious business partnerships, which have been going for a long time, there might have been a
Mm-hmm.
change in leadership. There
Mm-hmm.
might have been a change in the world where,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it just can't work the same way as it used to.
Yep.
And both parties are frustrated, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
angry because it was like, what went wrong? Fingers start being pointed. You did this, we did that. It becomes a breakdown. And when I am inserted in the middle of that, it's about understanding. So, what actually went wrong here?
Mm-hmm.
Objectively, what are the facts? Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
interested in the emotion of this
Right,
business.
right.
This is not personal, right?
Uh-huh.
In our personal life, emotion is an important part, but in business, we can be a bit more objective.
Yeah.
So when we say, so what happened, and we break it down, it's like, well, could it be that the world has moved on?
Mm,
And could it be that maybe, although there's a lot of money at stake, if we forecast this out, if it keeps on going the same trajectory it's going in right now, and we look at this in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 18 months' time, you could sink a lot of money into something that's really not working. Do you really want to do that?
mm-hmm.
Or would you prefer not going to work out any better? Let's find a way to make it worth each other's while to walk away. And when we
Mm-hmm.
do that, we can shake
Mm-hmm.
hands, we can do a review, we can work out how good this was, why it worked, fold that
Mm-hmm.
into the next set of partnerships we're going to do. And now we are not going to lose the amount of money that we were going to lose before. And
Right.
everyone goes, fair enough. I don't like it, but sometimes you don't got to love it. You just got to do it.
Right. When
And so
people be like,
that's,
I don't want to do this. I'm like, the good thing is you don't have to want to. You just have to do it. But you're hitting on, like,
just
I
got to
just
do
did
it.
an episode on FOMO, but fear of moving on, not fear of missing out, but the fear of moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah, I
And
like that.
that
Yeah,
can be hard. But I think, like, you're hitting on, especially in business, like, we hear all the time that, like, decision making and executing is a key to successful business. And that also means sometimes you're making the hard calls and you're like, yeah, this is actually something that just has to end. No, like you said, I don't like it, I don't love it, and that doesn't mean it's not the right thing. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And, let's just double click on this a second. So, business owners, CEOs, leaders, I often believe my default position for all of these people, doesn't matter what industry you're in, what kind of work you're doing, I expect that you will be tired and overwhelmed all the time, like all the time.
Mhm.
And it's because these kind of roles, whether you choose to start your own business as a solopreneur, whether you're growing quickly, whether you're in a large business trying to spin all these plates, you'll be tired and overwhelmed. And if I find that you're not, I will be surprised.
Mhm.
And the reason that's important is because when you dive into the background of needing to lead well, needing to navigate all of these things, sometimes organizations like people can fall out of love with the partnership they had, right? It was
Mhm.
working well at the beginning.
Mhm.
Both parties have extracted great value, but for whatever reason, we've just run out of interest
Mhm.
for this work because there's a new opportunity over here or whatever else. And the culture of an organization will kind of surface that when you ask the right kind of questions.
Mhm.
If you're a very small business, like a practice, like a coaching practice, it might be, look, I've been rethinking. I might not have the language for it right now, but I've been rethinking the kind of ways I want to support the people that I support, like my clients, my coaching clients.
Mhm.
And I want to take a slightly different approach to this. That might
Mhm.
mean actually, look, the way I've been doing it before. And as a result, the people I've been supporting might not be the right people to support anymore. I might need to gently wind down those relationships
Mhm.
and then make a course correction to somewhere else.
Mhm.
And the great partnerships, the ones that are the iconic ones,
Mhm.
which you will never learn about because they're ones that live at the highest level. And I will only see 0.01% of them
Hmm.
live in a format that the CEOs or the chairmen of these organizations, men and women, will pick up the phone to each other and say, hey, listen, Jess, we've been doing this for a long time. I think the world of you, I just think that our businesses need to move on.
Hmm.
And this private conversation between two individuals that are guiding huge volumes of resource and huge volumes of things around the world, that's where the first conversation will start. It won't happen in a boardroom. It'll happen between the two people that are involved at the highest levels. And that's where then the cascade begins. And
Hmm.
that first conversation might happen today. And you won't feel the ripple effects of that for 2 or 3 years to come because the machinery works slowly.
Yeah.
But when you look right into the detail of these partnerships, this is how it works. It's very human,
Yeah.
but you want to
I'm like,
try and
this is
find a
how
way
our
again. Life's too
countries
short for
need to
me.
work, Phil. I'm sitting over here thinking like Phil for
Oh,
president.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we, I mean, listen, maybe this is happening in the politics. I mean, I've watched Madam Secretary. I know there's some stuff happening behind the scenes and
The
like
West Wing. Yeah, that's
the
right. So there's things that go on here. There's conversations.
there
Yeah,
are conversations, but just,
that's it.
I mean,
That's
the
it.
thing I can't help, like, I feel like we have to just call out is like what you're talking about is like when if humans are running at the highest level of humanity, this is like the way it could work, right? If you're just like adult
Mhm.
humans are like, hey, we can have hard conversations, we can have hard feelings, nobody's excited about this, and we can still do hard things and be civil about it. Let's just have everyone
Yeah,
show up like that,
that's
Phil.
right.
I
And
like
I
this
think,
story.
look, this it's a good way to go. And look, what I'm saying to you here is built off the shoulders of giants, right? When you look at
Yeah.
people like William Ury, who wrote the book Getting to Yes, Negotiation, all the things, but he has been in hotspots all around the world where literally the parties on either side of the table are ready to reach over the table and kill each other.
Uh-huh.
And he's found where they can have a conversation and just go, why?
Hmm.
Right? What do you want to try and get out of this? What is the thing that you would love to get? And you know what we've forgotten to do in the world generally?
Hmm.
We've forgotten to ask why and what's in it for you.
Yeah.
And once you start doing that, I got to tell you, Jess, the whole thing changes
Yeah.
massively. We just do too much assuming. So if
Yep.
we can find a way to ask that question, you want to collapse the time to trust,
Hmm.
ask why and what's in it for you. And you will find that maybe the person doesn't have the language to tell you why, but
Hmm.
it's your job to get it out of them so that you
Hmm.
can then serve them in a way that will blow their mind.
Yeah. Let's do it. That sounds beautiful. Okay, but also I want to be mindful of time and I want to ask you a couple more questions. And one is
Sure.
like I love a good practical application of things. So if
Hmm.
someone's listening and they're like, okay, how do I start identifying and nurturing the kind of partnerships that will actually change the game? Like what's the
Yep.
you're like day one, what does that look like?
Day one, know what you need,
Okay.
right? If you're trying to grow a business
Hmm.
and you have an idea about who you're there to serve,
Hmm.
and your ask is, I need to find more people like this,
Hmm.
then be really razor sharp on what it is that you need out of that. I need
Hmm.
to find more people between the age of 30 and 40 who are in a management career who are trying to get to the next level.
Hmm.
And they work in these industries or they work in these geographies. Like, be really, really clear about what you need so that when you go to somebody that you find on LinkedIn or find somebody who might have a community of people that you want to access to get access, people often want to help if they know what the ask is, right? If you come
Hmm.
to them with a really, wide ranging ask, it's like, oh, I like you, Jess. I just don't know what you're asking.
Oh my God,
So
literally a
step,
woman I met, I first met in networking. She was like, well, who would I refer to you? And I was like, humans with brains. She was like, get out of my office. What do you mean? She's like, no, ma'am. I was like, oh, I really
that's right.
help people with
I
their
need
brain.
you to
Yeah,
be
I understand.
I need you to be sharp. So this is what is like day one. If you could walk up to a stranger and
Yeah.
say, and once you got through the pleasantries, hey, Jess, I'm Phil. And you say, hey, so lovely to meet you, Phil. I've got a good vibe. Like, what can I do to help you?
Hmm.
You want the answer to that question,
Yeah.
right? And you want to have it so clear. And that means writing it down, iterating on it, literally sitting in front of a mirror and answering that question to yourself
Uh-huh.
so you can be confident in the delivery of what that is. That's where
Mhm.
it begins. Because as soon as that is known, then the people that you don't know yet that can help you.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay, step one, know what you need. All right. That's it,
Yep.
full stop? Like know what you need. Is there any other, like here's the beginner's guide. This is if you're getting started, you want to find good
Yeah. So
partnerships.
people call me the three-step guy for some reason.
Love,
I can't think of anything except in 3 steps. So let's just go with the
love
three
it.
steps. So number
Good
one, know your
Trinity.
ask.
Good
Number two,
Trinity. Okay.
be like hyper curious,
Uh-huh.
right? When you start talking to somebody, the idea is that you want to know so much about them so you can serve them well, right? So if you have your great ask, you put it out there, great. So what's the exchange now? The exchange is that you are going to make yourself so curious about that other person that you can serve them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
That means, so tell me a bit about yourself. Like what brought you here today? Why, how do we find each other?
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing in the universe that made us connect and click a link and get to a place that we're now having this conversation? I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to find a way to return the favor.
Mm-hmm.
And in just about every one of my emails back to people,
Mm-hmm.
it always says, looking forward to returning the favor,
Oh, I
right?
love that. Okay.
Just so that you know that like the door is open for you to do that. You might not, and that's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know that one way that I can be memorable to you is that I'm here for you if you want to ask me a favor in return.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, big deal. And step number three, follow up.
Mm.
Put someone an ask. They say, awesome, let me come back to you. I'll work it out. The assumption is that they will.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that they want to. But if life is anything like it is for you, Jess, or it's like for
Right.
me, there's a lot going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So have the discipline to follow up with them and say, hey, Jess, following up on last week, just want to check and see if there's anything else you need from me
Mm-hmm.
so that we can continue the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. It's
Yeah.
not salesy, it's not pushy, it's just trying to build momentum. So
Mm-hmm.
clear ask, radical curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and following up. These are the things that can build a force multiplier in the way that you do outreach, business development, relationship nurturing. All of those three principles will help you get to a place that is vastly different today. Most importantly, it will also help you work out the relationships that you maybe need to discontinue,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
So if there's complete silence coming back, just remember we have a very finite amount of time on this planet.
Yep.
We're here to do great work. We're here to do great things. We're here to love the right things. We're here to do good things.
Yep.
So if you're not receiving signal back, that's fine. There's another 6.5 billion people in this world
Right.
that you can probably engage with. So think big, be practical, and just follow those 3 steps. I think you'll find that the world looks a little different.
Yeah, I'm saying these are such valuable mindset shifts. You're like, bless and release, on to the next. We don't have to take it personally.
Right.
Like, find the, yeah, amazing. Okay, before I ask you my very last question, Phil, please tell the listeners where they can connect with the work that you're doing, where they can follow you on the socials. What's the best way to stay connected to you and your universe?
That's awesome, Jess. Thank you. The best place to go is to my website. It's philhsc.com. And I post every day on LinkedIn. So that's probably the best social media to catch me on. And I love educating. So if you are coming into a touch point of any of mine, be it the podcast, newsletter, or LinkedIn, you should expect to receive really accessible education around business leadership and how to grow partnerships.
Yeah. Look at that. Laser focused and clear, Phil. I see what you're doing there. I dig it. Okay. And then for my last question that I love to ask all my guests is, what does it mean to you to live an unblocked life?
What it means to me is to create massive opportunity for my daughters,
Mm,
to show up for my wife in a way that she has a genuine partner, and to be remembered as somebody who would take the call and would listen and would, wherever possible, help, but also be super clear with people where I wouldn't be able to help. So, yeah, I think that's the answer.
that's amazing. This was so good. I appreciate you, Phil, and I appreciate your time. I say, just listen, I am around people all the time, and I love when I find the people where I'm like, oh, you are a product of the product. Like what you are talking about, it's very clear, like you are living it and embodying it. So I appreciate you sharing all of that with yourself and just of your knowledge and wisdom and talents today. This is great.
You bet, Jess, anytime.
Yeah. Thank you so much.